right, welcome back to another episode of the Carter Cast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. On today's show, we have our man Grant Farley back on the show. He'll be on every week for all of football season. And then we also have Dylan Wilkerson back on the show from Action Network. It's a great show. We get into everything college football. We do win totals, we do Heisman odds, futures, and we do week 0 lines as well. We do not do any week 1 lines. Week 1 lines we will do next week. It's a phenomenal show. And then also, next week, we will be back to 2 pods per week, back to Tuesday and Fridays. And then we will also be doing our BYU podcast debuting next week with Grant and I. Stay tuned for that. And make sure to follow us on all social media and everything. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. But before we get into today's show, we are brought to you by Pod Talk. Pod Talk is the best way to listen to podcasts. It has the best interface compared to every other podcast listening app out there. I use Pod Talk myself. Go download it right now in the App Store. Go join group discussions on your favorite podcasts like this one. Go subscribe and talk about the Carter Cast in the Carter Cast group discussion on Pod Talk right now. Download Pod Talk in the App Store today. And now here's the show. All right, we're back. We're back. College football's back. Football's back. Life is back. No more dead sports period talking about NBA trade talks. NBA's out the window. NBA's dead. I don't care about KD. I want to talk football. We're here to talk football. We have Grant back on, our guy Grant, and we have Dylan from Action Sports. Dylan, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. So last year, I don't know how many times I came on this show during football season. I had my blue notebook, just a plain blue notebook with all my notes. We've upgraded to show you guys that I mean business. We got Snoopy this year. We got Snoopy with all the notes. So I'm ready to go, man. It's been a long summer.
Grant, we're gonna be consistent now. It's every week. You're gonna see Grant on here.
I love it, man. I'm super excited to be back. Dylan, as long as we have a bunch of 5-star plays in there, man, we should be in good shape, right?
Well, I will say it's a little early for the 5 stars, but okay. I think I got some winners here, and there's one I am excited to share. Very excited to share.
Before we get, we're gonna say Grant.
No, I was just gonna say we're breaking in the 5 stars. So slowly we're gonna, a couple like 2 or 3s, and then get our way to 5. I like it, man.
I'm gonna personally guarantee on the show right now, week 3 college football, I will have a 5-star play.
Beautiful. That's what we want to hear.
All right, before we get into win totals, what the plan for today is, we're gonna do college football win totals. We're going to do Heisman, futures, conference futures, and then some week 0 lines, week 1 lines we'll do next week. But before we get into that, the biggest news probably of the week just came out today. YouTube TV is allowing 4 streams at the same time. 4 channels you can watch at the same time. We've been begging for this for years, and we finally get it at the perfect time.
That's by design, too.
It's for all those Maction games, bro. That's what we've been asking for. we need action. All 4 of them going on at the same time. Like 80,000 points being scored. One's like 60-5, like 37. Like, it's going to be awesome.
That's the beautiful thing is, NFL, we have Red Zone. You can watch, what do they do? Octabox. They can do 8 games at a time. College football, everybody's complained. We don't have anything remotely close to that. And now YouTube TV, we can get 4 games, not quite 8, but baby steps.
Octobox is a little much, though. I think 4 is the max.
Starts getting a little pixelated once you get to 8. You can't really tell who the players are.
Exactly. And then 4, you're really focused on 1 or 2, let's be honest. And you're gazing every once in a while at the 4th, right? Like, it's just kind of like a secondary or a 3rd game in the background.
Exactly. All right. You guys ready to do college football win totals?
Let's run it.
All right. Let's start off. You know what? I'll start, get one out of the way. It's clear as day. I'm wearing the hat right now. BYU over 8 wins, -118. Easiest pick in the book. BYU has one of the toughest schedules in the country. I think they're ranked 13th toughest schedule. Yep. Obviously not easy. I love this BYU team, though. Returning a ton of starters. If Jaron Hall stays healthy, I see no reason why this won't push. 9-3 is a very successful season for how hard the schedule is. I like BYU over 8.
Look, Carter, I'm going to agree with you on this one for everyone that's listening. I will warn this one factor, knock on wood. If the quarterback goes down, that is not hitting. So that is the only thing that scares me. That's the only thing that scares me. If Jaron Hall goes down, which he has had health issues in the past. So basically you're riding in the fact that Jaren Hall staying healthy. So if Jaren Hall stays healthy, I think it's a lock. If he doesn't, obviously that's, with a lot of teams in the over win total, but specifically with BYU, we're talking about Jaren Hall. Like if he gets hurt, man, we're in for a rude awakening. Like it legitimately could be like a 7-4, you know what I'm saying? Like a 6-6 type season without him. So just to keep in mind there, but I do love that play. That's a solid play.
So not a BYU guy, not well versed in the BYU culture. Can we go through some of the big games that they have this season?
Yeah, Grant, you want to start it?
100%. So week 1, crazy big. No, it's not a big game. It's just USF. So they're playing South Florida in South Florida, but then their first big test will be at home against the 10th ranked Baylor Bears. So the incumbent, I should say, Big 12 champ in Provo though. So it's almost like a revenge game. Lost to them last year in Waco. So that's gonna be a really good game. And then week 3, if I'm not mistaken, at Oregon, right? Yeah, it's back to back. So then it's at Oregon in Autzen Stadium, and so that's going to be that back to back is absolutely brutal. And then I think week 4 though it's easy. I think it's Wyoming if I'm not wrong, right?
Yep, Wyoming and then Utah State.
And then they play in Vegas against Notre Dame. So neutral site, it's part of the Shamrock Series for Notre Dame. So they really are going to have a home crowd. They're going to have like 80% of the ticket allotment. So it'll be a home game for Notre Dame in Vegas, basically. Those are the biggest games. And then you have Arkansas as well on the schedule, but it's also at home for BYU. So your biggest tests really are Baylor, Oregon, Notre Dame, and then Arkansas. And you have 2 of those at home being Baylor and Arkansas. And so basically the win total, if you're going to hit the over, you got to at least win probably 2 of those.
They got to start the season 4-2.
Yeah, you gotta win. You gotta like beat Baylor and lose to Oregon or something like that.
Vice versa,
You basically gotta split them. So, Dylan, for you, like it's ranked the 13th toughest schedule in the country for that reason, just because of the gauntlet up front of basically back-to-back tests. Plus, you throw in Notre Dame on a neutral site. Like you're basically, I think they're playing 4. I want to say 4 right now, top 25 teams, and 2 of those being top 10. And then
Oregon's 11.
Yeah, and then you're playing the champion in Utah State who won the Mountain West last year and the champion Baylor who won the Big 12. So you have 2 conference champions, and then obviously Notre Dame, who's an independent, is notoriously in the top 10. So pretty tough schedule there, and that's why I'm saying with Jaren Hall, like if he goes down, it's going to be a brutal stretch for them because Jacob Connor for the backup is nowhere near the level of what Jaren Hall is. So that's the little breakdown for you, Dylan.
Yeah, that sounds tough, but that Las Vegas game, that's a good excuse to, make a trip out there. Oh, I just got to watch BYU play Notre Dame. Maybe stay for 3 days.
We'll be there for sure. We'll definitely be there. But I do like the over, Carter. BYU returns they're the second highest returning production team in the country, when last year they were one of the last, but yet they still managed 10 wins in the country. So the book has been always behind on these guys. Like I think 2 years in a row, it's been like over under 6.5 or like 7 wins basically. And now finally it's caught up to like where it is now. So we're right there where I think there's not too much value in the play, but I think there still is enough to play him. So I'm with you there. I like that play.
All right, who's next?
Dylan, what you got?
Here's what I got. So I want to take a little trip over to the ACC. FanDuel, everything that I'm going to be giving, the lines came from FanDuel. And FanDuel has a special market that it's not necessarily win totals. It's to win 10 or more games. I took NC State to win 10 or more games. Reason being, their quarterback, Devin Leary, he had average seasons in 19 and 20, but last year he improved vastly. I think like a 65% completion percentage, 9.1 adjusted yards per attempt, and a passer rating. I'm pretty sure it was over 150. They didn't lose a lot of guys. In their schedule, they have 2 tough games, but even if they lose them, that's still putting them at 10 wins if they can win all the others. So I have their schedule up right now. The 2 that I think they will have trouble with, on October 1st, they have Clemson at Clemson, and then November 5th, they have Wake Forest at home. I think those are the 2 that will give them trouble, but everybody else on here, I mean, we're looking at East Carolina, Charleston Southern, Texas Tech, Virginia Tech, Louisville, UConn. North Carolina. Yeah, UConn. So I think that, if there was a team that could squeak out 10 plus wins, it's a plus money bet. It's at plus 125. So that plus sign is always a nice thing to have as well.
I love that because I had NC State over 8.5. It's like minus 175. I would just go to 10 wins, obviously, if you're doing that. The one thing about NC State, though, and being from North Carolina, dealing with NC State, watching NC State basketball and football my entire life, they crack under the dumbest games. So, like that Thursday night they play Virginia Tech, that's the one they're going to lose. Or when they have to play Carolina at the end of the season for a chance to go play in the ACC title game, that's when they're going to lose.
That's something that we'll have to look out for sure. With the North Carolina game, losing Sam Howell, I think North Carolina is going to have a pretty down year. But you're right. At the end of the season, if the game really doesn't have any serious implications, maybe they do catch them sleeping. But if they do, maybe they squeeze out the win against Wake Forest. I think that's one they could take. So it'll be interesting.
They also have potential NFL first-round pick Alec Nugent on the defensive line this year. He had to redshirt last year, could do unbelievable things this year. But, I have NC State over as well. Grant, what do you got?
I like the Cincinnati over 9.5 wins. Have you guys seen that one at all?
I only saw their to win 10+, which I think it was plus money.
Yeah, so they're over 9.5. I don't remember what the line is exactly, but I love that play just because their biggest test, really, guys, if you look at their schedule, is week 1 against Arkansas. That's the hardest game they have. Other than that, they're playing Kennesaw State, which is a win, Miami, Ohio, which is a win, Indiana, that should be a win, Tulsa, win, South Florida should be a win, SMU, we'll see, but it should be a win. UCF, that I guess is another big test for them, but again, we'll see. I think they could win that game. Navy, they should win. East Carolina, they should win. Temple and Tulane. I mean, that schedule is garbage. So, like, if they pull out the win against Arkansas, which in week 1, which is, again, going to be a really tough test for them, like, I don't think they're losing as much. I mean, obviously, you lost your quarterback, which is a huge deal in college football, but they do have a ton. And Luke Fickell, right? Like, I trust the fact of, like, his program, what they built there. You lost Sauce Gardner. You lost some of the biggest pieces they have on that team, but I do like that over. I kind of like that area. Like, I like Cincinnati's over. The other one that's interesting to me is Houston's over. That's another team that's has a pretty soft schedule, but also high expectations for their team. But the one I lean to Cincinnati, I really like that play. Just because,
What's Houston's
like I said,
number?
Houston, I think, is also 9.5, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I know those are the two favorites to win that conference, I think. And then I think UCF was third.
Yep. Like I said, if they can either win the Arkansas game or the UCF game, like, they're going to be in great shape. So I really do like that play. That's one of those plays that I thought was super interesting. The other play that is interesting is the under for Georgia, because I think their line is at 10.5.
It's 11.5 on Barstool, but it's minus 195. I mean, I think you even take that juice. There's no way they go undefeated.
That's what I'm saying. So I really do like Stetson. Here's the thing: that defense was unbelievable. Like, once in a lifetime, kind of like that LSU offense. That to me is like the best example I can give of like how good that defense was. But obviously on the flip side, I think that under is pretty solid, man. Like, I think under 10.5 wins is a pretty good play. So that was the other one I was looking at, and it hurts me because, like I said, I'm a Georgia boy. That hurts me. But like I said, that's a tough schedule they're going to be playing, and for them to go undefeated, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
I'm not big on Georgia at all. I know Brandon Walker from Barstool has been going crazy about how Stetson Bennett's not that good or whatever. I think he's better than what Brandon Walker's saying, but I get Brandon Walker's point. I think Stetson Bennett can only take you so far. He's like a Teddy Bridgewater or a Mac Jones. If you're down in the game, he's not going to bring you back in that game.
If you honestly rewatch the national championship, he did not have a great first half at all. Like,
no.
The defense 100% kept them in that game until where they could make the move to actually, put the throttle on Bama. And that's why Nick Saban's like, you beat our A's in the fourth quarter, right? Like, that's where the game changed. It was the defense that kept in the game the whole time. But if it was any other defense in the country, Alabama would have already had enough points to make it, not a game anymore. But that defense was so good, so unbelievably, sound and talented. Obviously, the majority of them got drafted and a ton in the first round. Like, there's no way their defense is going to be the same production as this year. There's no way. And then Stetson Bennett, like, I just don't see him as like that transcendent player, even though he won the Natty.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. If you do the under 11.5 at minus 195, they could lose week 1 against Oregon, and you already hit that bet.
I don't see them losing that game, but yeah, you could.
Okay, then hear me out. Tell me where they lose a game, because their schedule is not hard. Samford week 2, South Carolina week 3 could be a little tricky. They're going to be a little feisty this year.
For some reason, they always struggle with South Carolina. That is true.
Kent State, Missouri, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Florida. That one's
Auburn's
Jacksonville.
sneaky good. Auburn's sneaky good this year. People, for some reason, are sleeping on Auburn. I don't know why. They're sneaky good. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, then Florida, at home against Tennessee.
That's the loss.
At Starkville for Mississippi.
I'll say that could be a loss. Tennessee could be a loss. It could.
Tennessee's going to be a dog this year, and I don't know how they're not ranked. And I don't want to get too far into the picks I have coming up, but Hendon Hooker is going to be a top 5 quarterback in all of college football this year. And we saw it. We saw a glimpse last year. We saw a glimpse of it. He didn't get to start because I think Joe Milton from Michigan transferred there, and he was the starter. They realized he wasn't any good, and they started playing Hooker. I mean, Tennessee, I think, could give Georgia some trouble.
All right,
I agree with that.
And then Mississippi State in Starkville, and then at Kentucky, that could be a good one. And then Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's going to be awful.
Oh gosh, that game's going to be like a 70-point spread, bro. That's going to be so bad.
Before we get into like other people's picks, there's one. Does anybody have Duke or Georgia Tech on here? They're under.
I think Georgia Tech's over/under is 3.5 wins. You're taking the under.
So is Duke. So Georgia Tech and Duke each have an easy given like 2/3 games, and then it gets weird for that 4th game. But Duke versus Georgia Tech basically decides the win total for each other's seasons. It's just it's literally the toilet bowl.
Yeah, my buddy's a huge Georgia Tech fan. He basically is pretty convinced they're around like 3 or 4 wins. So honestly, man, I've seen people take the under on Georgia Tech, but I just don't know how you take under 3.5 wins. That's wild.
Duke is down to 3. Duke is down to 3. I just looked at it.
Oh,
that makes for a miserable season if you're a fan of a team like that where it only has their total at 3 and you take their under, because you're literally rooting against them every single. Like, there's not one week that you can root for them.
Exactly.
It's like every single week you're rooting against them.
That is brutal.
Hear me out on this Duke thing. Like, obviously Duke is going to be terrible, but hear me out on this one. They play Temple week 1. Temple should be a win. Then they play Northwestern week 2. Northwestern stinks.
They could win that game.
Stinks.
Yeah, they could win that game.
North Carolina A&T week 3. That one could get tricky. I don't know about A&T this year. They always have like one random dude that's going to the NFL. It's like a Tariq Cohen. Kansas week 4. They could start the season 4-0 and just win that bet and screw everybody over. And then Virginia week 5, that's a loss. And then the game of the year, probably Georgia Tech Duke week 6.
Game of the year. That's one they'd play in London if it was the NFL. They'd send that one over to Germany.
Yep. Yeah, they're like, you guys like football? We got this awesome matchup for you. We can't wait for you guys to see it.
They send it down to like Mexico City.
Basketball.
Like, this is one of our premier teams, Duke football. We love them. They're so good.
Coach K, baby. And then their last 6 games, UNC, Miami, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Wake. There's not a chance Duke will be within 10 points of any of those games.
Yeah. But they'll keep one of them close. They always do, like every you know what I'm saying? ACC gets weird.
Wake Forest is in a weird spot this year because is Sam Hartman even playing? Because he's got a medical issue where he's out right now.
That's another one. The Pitt one's also interesting, man. People are liking that Pitt team still, like the over on that one too.
Okay, let me give you an ACC one that I like. Then I'm going Miami over 9. I'm buying all the stock in Miami.
Really?
Are you not?
Can you pull up the schedule for me? Because I honestly would need to see the schedule. Yeah. And I'll walk with you and see if
Dylan, say what you're going to say, and I'll pull up the schedule.
Well, I have two ACC questions for you guys because I haven't been keeping very close track and recruits and stuff or whatever. Number one, maybe not as much of a question, but there's a guy from Action Network that just published an article, and he has Miami making the college football playoff. What happened between last year and this year that's going to put him there?
Mario Cristobal. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I mean, people are buying into that hype. If that's what you're saying,
and
you're buying.
Tyler Van Dyke is legit good.
He's good. Yeah, he's very good.
Like, he is legit, and that's the one thing in college sports. There's 2 things that matter more than anything, and one is coaching. Miami's got coaching. And then in college basketball, you have to have a good point guard if you want to win a national title. You cannot win a national title if you don't have a good point guard. Same in college football. You got to have a good quarterback. You
Are
just
they
have to have a
playing?
good
Are they
quarterback.
playing Bama week 1 like they did that one year, a couple years ago, where they just got trashed?
No, dude, they're gonna get their confidence good early.
Okay.
Cookman, week 1, Southern Miss week 2, Texas A&M week 3. I think Texas A&M's a little overrated. I think Miami could win that game.
That's another under people are liking a lot.
Middle Tennessee week 4, then Carolina, then Virginia Tech, then Duke, Virginia, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Clemson, and then Pitt. Clemson, Pitt to close the season. That's kind of tough, but their over-under is 9.
See, I can't buy into the hype of Mario Cristobal until I see it at least 1 year in Miami, bro. I couldn't play that. Me personally, I couldn't play the over 9 there.
But it's just the 8. And the other thing, the reason why I like Miami, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, I like Miami later on and what we're going to talk about, but I mean, the ACC Coastal is so bad.
Yep.
Like that, and that's what I'm kind of just banking on too. And I don't know. I like Mario Cristobal. I'm buying the Miami hype. I'm such a slut for Texas being back or Miami being back.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That to me is literally the Texas of like the East Coast. It's literally Miami. Like Miami's the East Coast Texas, right? Where every year they're back. Different coach, different this, different unis, whatever, chain, whatever you want to say.
It's not like my favorite play, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. Like you said, if a team can just figure out, be competent in the ACC, they have an easy path, like you said, to the championship in that conference. Like it really is true. Like that conference is very middle of the pack, pretty much everyone.
Dylan, you got another win total?
Not a win total, but I do have something that relates to the Georgia talk that we had earlier.
I like it.
And this one's interesting to me. Another one on FanDuel, a market that was offered was college football champion versus the field. So it had like Alabama versus the field, Georgia versus the field, and then it started clumping teams together. This pick that I have is Alabama or Georgia versus the field to win the national championship. I'm taking the field at plus 106, and we already talked about Georgia a little bit. Last year, it wasn't really impressive. I'm going to get clowned for whoever listens to this. It wasn't an impressive season for them, and going into the SEC championship, I was kind of a big proponent of them being kind of fake. They didn't have a super tough schedule going into the SEC championship, ended up winning the national championship. Fair enough. But I think there's too many teams out there that could give these teams a run this year. I'm going to homer it. Michigan, I think, could. Ohio State very well could. Clemson might be back, and they have a coach that knows how to do it. I think we could see Tennessee give both of these teams a little bit of trouble, maybe even keep them out of the college football playoffs. So I'm taking the field. It's plus 106 against Alabama and Georgia for the winner of the college football playoff.
Before we get into that, we'll do more futures in a minute. Let me just run through the rest of my win totals and see if you guys like them or not.
Okay.
All right, real quick. Look, this one I love. I'm not taking it because I would never do that to myself. I wouldn't agree to Satanism. But I love Utah over 9 wins. It makes no sense why it's 9. It was 8. Dude. It was 8.5 last week.
Yeah, you're foreshadowing one of my plays that I would absolutely love in the future. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like they have the 113th toughest schedule in the country, or 100 and something. It's in the hundreds. It's not good.
I don't see 3 losses anywhere on this schedule. It is at Florida. That could be a loss. And then even then, they could easily win that game. It's like it's like a pick 'em almost.
They're favorites.
Southern Utah.
They're favorites in that game.
Exactly. Southern Utah, San Diego State, Arizona State, Oregon State, UCLA, USC could be a loss. Washington State, Arizona, Stanford, Oregon, Colorado. I see max 3 losses. More than likely, I see 10 wins for Utah. I'm sure FanDuel has the bet where you can do 10 plus wins for them. I think Utah is a great bet for that one. But I would never take it because I don't agree to Satanism. And then also, I love Bama's going to go undefeated. Bama going undefeated at plus 120. I think that's blind money. Bama's going undefeated, Dylan. You know it.
That's the problem, Dylan. Your bet that you made, bro, where you're saying basically Bama, Georgia, or the field, like we're not worried about Georgia. It's Alabama. Like Alabama is the team that I think it's almost destined to win the Natty this year, man. Like you're betting against Saban hitting that clockwork of like, I think it's like once every at least 2 or 3 years, right? That he hits it. Like that's what you're betting against.
I don't know. Me personally, I hate the story of Alabama and like them always being this superpower. So anytime that I can take them to, have a little bit of demise, I will. I think I think Tennessee can beat them in the regular season. I'm serious. I'm serious about this Tennessee team, guys. And I don't know what it. Well, I know good and well what it is, but I don't know. If Alabama makes it, I think again there are plenty of teams that could be in the college football playoff that could give them trouble either in the semifinals or the finals. I mean, I hate to say it, Ohio State's going to be pretty good. Michigan, you guys don't even want me to start talking about Michigan. We're competing at NFL level as a college team, if you ask me.
I love it.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. That at plus money, that's probably a pretty smart bet for them to go undefeated. Is it just regular season?
Just regular season.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think Tennessee could give them fits, but that's the only game I think they would have trouble with.
Let's run through the schedule real quick. Utah State, that's going to be a win, even though I do like Utah State a lot this year. Alabama, Texas, that's one that's like a cute matchup. Everyone's going to be ready for. I don't know why it's a noon. I don't know why it's a noon kickoff. That's ridiculous. But yeah, it's like, remember last year, week 1, Miami, everyone's like, Derek King's going to dominate Bama.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
It's 45-0. And then Louisiana Monroe, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, A&M at Alabama, and then Bama goes to Tennessee, Mississippi State at Bama, goes to LSU. I don't like LSU at all this year. Goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is getting a lot of hate this year going in right now. And then Austin Peay, and then the Iron Bowl. I just don't see a loss in there.
By the way, is Brian Kelly one of the worst cultural fits of all time of any hire I've ever seen? Like Mario Cristobal is like perfect for Miami, like the absolute perfect cultural fit, and Brian Kelly is like the absolute worst. I'm sorry, I had to get that out because it bothers me so much, that hire. Like it just like bothers me. It's like they like panicked on a coach and they just threw the bag at some random guy. I mean, obviously Brian Kelly's not random, but like a coach that had no business being at LSU. It's weird. It just bothers me. So yeah, I'm with you though, Carter. I like that play.
All right, then we already mentioned Georgia under. This is a random one. I know this is one you watch on a Friday night on CBS Sports Network, but University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners over 8.5. I love them, dude. They're returning everyone. They went. I think they went 12-2 last year.
They were solid, man. They have a junior or senior quarterback now, right?
Yeah, Frank Harris.
Oh, he's good.
They're returning everyone. The team's going to be solid. Conference USA stinks. They're going to run it. And there's no better team in NCAA 14 to play with than the Roadrunners.
That's the truest facts I've ever heard.
And then my last one, Michigan over 9.5. Easy. I just got to ride with Dylan.
This is the season, man. I'm completely bought in. And it's bad because I do it every year. Even in the Rich Rod days, I still did it. But man, I'm just feeling it this year. Defense is going to regress, but we're going to have one of the best offenses in all of college football.
Josh Pate is all over this Michigan team.
Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. Seeing that all over my feed.
All right. So you guys don't have any more win totals?
No, just the fun one of Hawaii. I think it's over 4.5. I like that one too. I'm going to play that one. Yeah, Hawaii over 4.5 on the season.
I mean, they're getting that week 1 win. We'll get into that later. Let's take a quick break and then we'll get into futures. All right, let's do some futures. Dylan, you start.
We'll get the homer ones out of the way. First let me ask you a question. Michigan this year, their chances, if you had to give a percentage on their chance to win the Big Ten East or say make the college football playoff, what if you had to give them a number? What would we be at?
Those are two so Big Ten East or college football playoff.
Let's do Big Ten East first.
Okay, so who would be number 2? Because obviously they're competing against is Ohio State in the Big Ten East.
Yes, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State are probably the only 3 that would give them competition.
Plus 300,
man, and it's plus 300.
Is that what you guys are saying? Plus 300?
That's my guess.
Okay. What about college football playoff?
That's got to be like plus 500 at least.
I'll go plus 800.
Okay. Both of those are plus 600. College football playoff and to win the Big Ten East. That is implied odds of a 14% chance of both of those happening. I'm taking both of them. I think this Michigan team obviously lost Hutchinson, lost Ojabo. Defensively, we're going to see a regression. At least there's nothing that I've seen as far as recruiting goes, as far as who's going to be there, that would prove to me that the defense is going to be like last year. However, on the offensive side of the ball, we have Ronnie Bell back. We still have Blake Corum. We have Donovan Edwards. Roman Wilson's back as a wide receiver. Eric All, tight end. I mean, we're returning a lot of these pieces that we had last year. I keep saying we. That's probably so bad, but I'm just going to do it. And, none of the players on this team are going to win the Heisman because everything is very spread out. Even we still have Cade McNamara, J.J. McCarthy. I personally don't know who I want to start, but either one of them are going to be fine choices. So I'm taking them to win the Big Ten East. I'm taking them to make the college football playoff. And I'm taking them to win the Big Ten as a whole. That's plus 800, implied odds of an 11% chance of happening. Whoever wins the East historically wins it all because the West is so bad. And this year it's going to be Wisconsin or Iowa. I'm taking all those. Plus 600 for Big Ten East, plus 600 for college football playoff, plus 800 to win the Big Ten.
I feel like at that point you should hammer them winning the Big Ten over making the college football playoff, because you're getting much better odds. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. I think we could see a scenario. I hate to say it, that Michigan loses to Ohio State, doesn't win the Big Ten East or the Big Ten at that point, because Ohio State will probably be undefeated. But I think they could still make the college football playoff, because I don't think Georgia's gonna do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what about NC State
making the college football playoff?
Someone from the ACC is gonna sneak their way into the college football playoff this year.
Dude, Dylan, you're betting heavy that the SEC doesn't have two teams, which historically is not the case. But that's what you're betting this year, basically. You're betting that the SEC only produces basically Bama, is what we're assuming.
Bama, I think Tennessee, possibly.
Maybe, all right.
I'm serious. I'm big on this Tennessee team. I think that could be possible. I'm not going to bet on it, but I don't know. We'll see. Michigan big this year. Defense is going to regress. Offense is going to be unlike anything we've seen from a Michigan team in a while.
I kind of love the Michigan odds on them winning the Big Ten. I kind of love that play, personally. Like those odds are pretty wild.
Yeah, because what's going to be the odds on them against Ohio State? Like the money line's going to be what, like plus 300-400 maybe? Like why
That's
not?
Big Ten East right there. That's probably going to be the game that decides the Big Ten East.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if Michigan loses a game or two. Yeah, I like the Big Ten one. I don't know about the college football playoff one, but I think Grant's right on. I think Grant's right on the Big Ten one. Grant, give me a future.
Okay, so we highlighted a little bit. I'm going to look up the odds exactly what it was. Give me 1 second. Like you said, I feel like I have to bet it, and I'll give you the reason why I have to bet it. So the favorites to win the Pac-12 by every media pundit there is University of Utah, right? And they're plus 230 odds to win the Pac-12, which seems to me like so much value. And I know it's only plus 230 to win the conference, but like they are the proven team. They won it last year. They smoked Oregon twice. Like you said, their schedule is absolutely terrible. You're basically betting that they can take care of USC this year in the first year of Lincoln Riley. That's basically what you're betting. And I think they can do it. I think that's such a good play. Like, and I love the play personally, because if I play it and they don't win it, I'm ecstatic, right? I love it because they didn't win the Pac-12. But if they win it, like they're going to anyways, I might as well make some free money out of it. So that honestly,
I don't know if I can agree with that logic, because like I feel like you can't do that. Like that's like me betting on Carolina to win the national championship. That's literally me betting Carolina against Duke at the Final Four.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's something that's gonna happen anyways. That's the problem. Like they're most likely to win the Pac-12. Almost everyone thinks it, barring a severe injury with their quarterback or a couple key tight ends like Kincaid or something like that. Like I don't see how they don't win the Pac-12. It is absolutely terrible. Just like last year, it's awful. They play one of the worst schedules in football.
They do play one of the worst schedules in football.
I definitely think that value is there, plus 230. I really do, especially if they're favorites. Like the one that is interesting to me, it's like USC. I think they're plus 190. I just don't see how you can play that being the first year. So that one, like I said, I think the value's in Utah on that one. So that's one of the first ones that jumped out to me.
I don't hate it. I mean, Utah is going to win the Pac-12 and whatever.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying like implied obviousness, and it's plus 230. That's all I'm saying. I think
I'm all team emotional hedge too. If you think it's going to happen and your bet loses, but you're still happy that the team that you don't like lost, I'm all for the emotional hedge.
So you would bet Ohio State. You would bet Ohio State, Dylan.
Now here's the catch. Like if Ohio State, Michigan, I would bet Ohio State if I knew that Michigan was going to lose.
And bro, think about it, Carter. They're not even the same. Like they're in the same conference. It's a little bit different discussion.
No, I think that's totally different because I think the argument I'm making is, Grant. Let's say if BYU and Utah are playing each other, and let's say you're like, dude, the BYU, no chance they're winning. Like, I'm just gonna bet Utah. I'm not cool with that.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I've never done it before, but what I'm saying is like this has nothing to do with BYU because we're talking about the Pac-12. They don't play Utah this year.
But the only reason I see it acceptable, and this is getting ridiculous, and this is my dumb betting brain, my dumb football brain. But this is when it gets good. Is let's say you're on a cold streak gambling, you're 0-9, you can't hit a bet. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna hit the reverse jinx, and I'm gonna bet Ohio State. I'm gonna bet Utah. I'm gonna bet Carolina. And then we're thinking,
use it to your advantage.
I like it. I'm all for it.
Future, I'll give out NC State to win the Atlantic plus 350. I love this NC State team. I know we mentioned it before. I don't see what the big deal with Clemson is. The only thing that does scare me against Clemson is DJ. Don't even make me Uiagalelei, whatever his name is. Makes me so mad. Him and Oscar Tshiebwe of Kentucky. I can't pronounce their names. Anyhow. I don't. DJ finally has someone that can come in and take his spot this year. Last year they just had nobody, and if the backup comes in, dominates, then Clemson could obviously be good. But I think NC State. I mean, they have so many people coming back. Their schedule is a joke. Besides Clemson, I like them to win the Atlantic plus 350. I think that's good odds.
Yep,
that's just getting to the ACC title game. That's not even winning the ACC. Winning the ACC is plus 700.
Yeah, I think it's plus 750 right now. It's good odds.
Yeah.
The non-sexy pick, to be honest, guys, like to win the SEC is Bama minus 140. That is like such a safe play to me.
It's only 140.
It's minus 140. That to me, if you actually like want like a really solid bet, that one is honestly a really solid bet to me. It's so
actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
To me, this might just be gambling brain coming out, but the fact that they're minus 140 tells me that there's somebody that knows something that we don't.
They know those Tennessee Volunteers are going to go 12-0, and
you got that right. You got that right, Carter.
I'm telling y'all, if you want a safe play, I feel like that's.
I'm seeing minus 190, but even minus 190, are you going to lose that bet?
No, I'm telling you, I think that's.
Yeah, you're probably going to lose that bet.
I'm seeing 140 right now, man. I'm telling you.
Where are you looking at? Are you looking on webmail? Or are you looking
on webmail, and it's minus 140 right now. Those are good odds.
Oh, I got minus 140 on FanDuel.
Oh, Barstool, you guys suck then. Minus 140, dude. That's a great bet.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like it's not a sexy bet because it's like, come on, you're betting Bama, but it's like betting Bama statistically has been a very, very profitable situation. You're talking about just winning the SEC, and we don't feel like Georgia's gonna be one of those top contenders. I mean, if you're gonna bet on Nick Saban, that's a really, really safe bet.
Before we talk about this real quick, because I've been like comparing the FanDuel and the Barstool odds and all this, I like a lot of the Barstool stuff they have, but like the FanDuel odds are just so much better on everything across the board, futures, everything. FanDuel's odds are just way better. But anyhow, that's a side topic. But yeah,
if I could plug in there real quick. This is actually very kind of comical because for work we had to do this. BetMGM, statistically going back to 2019, for every closing line, they have the least amount of juice across all sports. BetMGM Sportsbook. So if you ever look at FanDuel's good too. They're pretty low. BetMGM, I don't know. They're kind of iffy on the states they're legal in. I think they're a bit more restrictive.
BetMGM's weird, isn't it? Because don't you have to sign up for a new account in each state?
Yes, and it is miserable. So I'm 30 minutes from Indiana when I'm back home, and I was in Illinois this past weekend, and I tried to log in and it wouldn't let me. Couldn't figure out for the longest time. Have to create a whole new account. So that is a drawback. But as far as pricing goes, BetMGM is one of the best. FanDuel, I think, is actually number 2.
That happened in the Final Four.
Dylan, if you like Tennessee so much, you can get them plus 4,000 to win the SEC, man.
Oh, I was actually going to chime in. Tennessee plus 1,400 to win the SEC East. They're 110% better than Kentucky. I don't care if that Will Levis, whatever, is back. I don't care.
I don't think Will Levis is that good.
No, very average. They were a high-scoring offense last year, I guess, and he has some part of that. But, I mean, Tennessee's miles beyond this Kentucky team, and we've already talked about how we're going to think Georgia has a not off year, but they're not going to replicate last year.
They're at 8 wins.
Who is?
Tennessee.
Yeah, add that. What's the odds at?
Plus 100 for the over, minus 125 for the under.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I got it. Let me put that in the old Snoop notebook.
I love it.
Does anybody else have another future? I have a ridiculous one if we want to hear it.
I got one more before you go, Carter.
Okay, go.
So the interesting one to me is for Utah State to repeat, man. Do you know what their odds are? They're plus 900 to win the Mountain West Conference.
Wow.
Plus 900 to repeat.
Wait. You say Utah or Utah State?
Utah State. I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought you said Utah. I thought you were just trolling real quick.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That one's on me. I think I did say Utah, but Utah State, is plus 900 to win it again. And then you could also hedge. You could also hedge with Boise State at plus 230. So you could take both those teams, put a little bit on both, and I think that's a pretty safe bet that one of those guys are going to pop off.
Where are you seeing plus 900?
I'm seeing it's on.
I'm looking here. I think it's on Barstool too. That's plus 900.
Yeah, plus 900, and then Boise State is plus 225. Sorry, not plus 230.
So, and then
they like Air Force to win it over Utah State, which is wild to me.
Well, yeah, Air Force has been getting a bunch of hype lately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But plus 900, that seems like a lot of value for a team that's already done it last year.
My only concern with that would be, and hand up, I haven't done much research on the Mountain West going into this year. I look at the top 4 or 5 teams on here in terms of odds to win the conference, and I'm seeing some pretty good defenses. Fresno State, San Diego State, even Boise State. But plus 900 to get someone that won it last year, that's not bad.
That's what I'm saying. I think that it's not like a guarantee, obviously, at all. We're talking about conference championships here, but like for value-wise, that's a pretty good play. I think value-wise, that's pretty solid if you're getting plus 900, because they're returning most of their offensive power production, except for their wide receiver that graduated. But other than that, like they have a lot of their offense back. So I do like that. But Carter, go ahead with your crazy one, bro.
Wait, Dylan, do you have any more win totals?
No more win totals.
Futures, whatever.
I have one Heisman winner. Are we wanting to do that now?
Let's wait to do the Heisman.
Yeah,
I'll run through the rest of my futures real quick. Okay. Miami to win the Coastal plus 135. I haven't seen on a website. I'm trying to see if I can find one to do NC State and Miami to meet in the ACC title game. I don't know where I'm able to find those odds. I think that would be like plus 1,000 almost. I love that. NC State Miami, I think, is going to be played in Charlotte this year. And then my blind ridiculous pick. This has no merit behind it. I just saw them. They tickled me a little bit. I went to the MAC and I said, give me a conference winner. So I scrolled through and I just looked. Different websites have different numbers. What I saw, I'm going Ohio to win the MAC at plus 1,200.
Wow.
Why not? I couldn't tell you anything about Ohio. I don't know. This is a blind. You put 5 on it and you never think about it again.
Talking about Miami, Ohio, right?
No, just Ohio. The Bobcats.
Oh,
Shout out the Charlotte Bobcats.
That's honestly, in my mind, not a bad pick. We don't even have to focus on stats or anything. Just think about the conference. Northern Illinois couldn't win a game last year, and then they win the conference this past year. I'm sorry, Northern Illinois couldn't win a game 2 years ago. This past year, they won the conference. I mean, this is a conference where anything can happen. So if there's a conference where you want to blindly pick a team, this is probably the one that you're going to want to go with.
But before we go to the Heisman talk, if you guys had to bet, excuse me, someone in the Big 12 to win it based on the odds, so you got Oklahoma at plus 225, Texas at plus 250, Oklahoma State and Baylor at plus 600. I'm going to stop there. If you guys had to bet one of those four top teams, who would you take?
I was looking at this earlier because no, I was going to take one, but nobody really. I don't know why. For some reason, my Twitter feed gets weird. If you click on one team that has say if you click on, I don't know, freaking Georgia Tech, and then a Georgia Tech recruit commits there, for some reason it pops up on your feed, and you click on the tweet, and then for the next week, all you see is Georgia Tech football stuff on your Twitter. For some reason, all I see on my Twitter is Kansas State propaganda. Kansas State stuff is all over my Twitter feed. I don't get it. And so maybe Kansas State's the play here.
I mean, that you're going to get them at, because people do love them, you're going to get them at plus 800 odds, which, like I said, I think is pretty interesting. But I honestly feel like I want to sprinkle some money on Oklahoma State. It's weird, but plus 600 just is screaming at me, man. Plus 600, I'm kind of liking.
I agree with you, and I know I was big on them last year. Honestly, if they'd won the Big 12 championship, I thought they were going to sneak in the college football playoff over Cincinnati. I don't know if they've gotten anybody, lost anybody. I haven't paid very close attention, but they were another team whose defense I think was able to keep them in games, especially in a conference like the Big 12 where not a lot of teams have that. So if I were to pick one, I'm with you. I would go Oklahoma State. I would say Texas is probably not a good bet because it's just so everybody's hyped up on them, and naturally those lines get inflated whenever they're trending on Twitter. So
Texas is like the Yankees of juice, right? Like there's just always the worst odds for them.
Who did Texas play week 1 last year that everybody – it was Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, right? Yep. And that was everybody's trendy upset pick. I see the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners do play Texas week 3 right after Alabama.
Oh, there we go. They're overlooking them, huh?
Because Alabama's going to go into Texas, probably wipe the floor with them 42-15, something weird. And then Texas is going to be humiliated. And then that is Texas San Antonio's Super Bowl right there.
Yeah. Like all those kids on that team were not recruited by Texas. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, you're right. That's an interesting take, man. That's a hot take. I like it.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. I mean, obviously all the Big 12 teams have to play each other or whatever, that whole thing. But I mean, when your non-conference is Alabama and even Texas, San Antonio, that's not easy.
Yeah.
But I think Oklahoma State.
Plus 600. You can get them plus 600 win the conference. Kind of like.
All right, that'll do it for futures, and then we'll move on to Heisman. All right, let's talk Heisman. Who wants to go first?
Who do we think? Okay, so who do we think has the longest odds for a Heisman winner? I think I might.
All right, I have the shortest, so I'll go first because I have. I mean, it's the wussiest bet you could make. It is, I believe, why not just bet $100 on CJ Stroud to win the Heisman and $100 on Bryce Young, and you're gonna win one of those two. You're just guaranteed to win one of those two.
I'm kind of with you there, man. And then Caleb Williams is like a nice, soft third. Is basically.
I wouldn't even worry about it. I don't think USC is gonna go 12-0 or anything. I think Utah will beat them. They're gonna choke.
I kind of like the CJ Stroud play. It's a good hedge if you put a lot of money on the Michigan play. So if you hammered Michigan and then you also had a little bit of money on CJ Stroud, you're obviously betting that Ohio State had just an amazing year. So it's kind of a fun play if you had a lot of money on Michigan.
And CJ Stroud, the thing is, his stats were insane last year. You can say they were inflated, whatever. I don't disagree with that, but he's going to have those crazy stats no matter what.
Yeah.
Let me see here. What's give me yours, Dylan.
So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and trash yours because CJ Stroud is not a Heisman caliber quarterback. I'm just going to say that right now. He's going to have a better year than he did last year because last year was his first year. Some growing pains. It's not going to happen. And I when you said that, I was like, I wonder how many times the Heisman favorite preseason has won the Heisman.
And that's my concern.
Yep.
I found the answer, and I got to read it a little bit. I think it said there's one instance dating back to 2009 that someone that was the top 2 favorite preseason for the Heisman has won it. And that's like, I get your reasoning personally. Like, those 2 stand out big time, 2 great offenses. There's just so much crap that happens in the middle of the season. It just shakes up so much. Like, I don't know. I hope it does for you, but when you said CJ Stroud, it inside of me, the Ohio State quarterback thing. Ugh. But anyway,
he puts up so much stats though. You can't deny that. Like every game you see, like you've put up 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, but somehow it was like still kind of a close game, and it felt like meaningless yards.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State lost all their receivers except for Smith and Jigba. Everybody else is gone.
Jigba. I'll say you can get him at plus 4,000 on the Heisman.
And Jigba?
That's such a crazy play. That's such a crazy play.
Is it that crazy?
He's not winning the Heisman, dude.
Hendon Hooker.
Smith won it. Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker for Heisman at 60-1. You can bet a double-digit bet, $19, if my math is correct, and you will win 4 digits worth of money. The reason I'm saying this, I talked about it a little bit already. Last year, he did not start the season as the starter. And as the season went on, found out Milton was not the guy, and they moved on to Hooker. He led the team last year. Actually, he was second last year in rushing yards on the team. And his leading receiver is back. His star tight end is back. Their running back is average. Their offensive line, they allow a lot of pressure, which is not a great thing, but he's a mobile quarterback, and that's going to give him the ability to showcase his skills. If there are any quarterback design runs, the offensive line is good at run blocking. I think that this team, not so much this team, but Hendon Hooker is one of the talents. We're going to look back in January, and we're going to be like, wow, I can't believe he had that kind of season.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
I just don't know with Tennessee. I mean, you just gotta love Tennessee to take that play. The problem is like
you can take Van Dyke at plus 2,500 if you really believe.
I saw that, but
Miami resurgence.
You could take Devin Leary at probably like plus 7,000 or something. He's probably somewhere on there.
Probably somewhere. Quinn Ewers, bro, who barely became QB1, is a plus 4,500 at Texas.
Whoa. Hear me out, Grant. Hear me out. Let me see if we're getting crazy here. At plus 10,000 odds, yes. Jaron Hall.
He's at plus 10,000?
I mean, $1?
He has the schedule to where he'd have to just ball out every game, and they'd have to go undefeated. They would literally have to be a playoff team. That's the only possible way he could possibly make it, a Heisman push, is if they're actually a playoff contender. It's kind of a fun one. Jackson Dart, who's not even named the starting quarterback, is plus 5,000 at Ole Miss.
He's not starting?
I mean, I don't think they're named him the starter yet. He probably is going to start, but they have him at plus 5,000, which is pretty wild that a non-starting quarterback yet has a higher odds than Jaron Hall. Very, very interesting.
Who's your Heisman pick? If you had to bet.
If I'm not going to play a Heisman play, but if I had to play, I would 100% put money behind Bryce Young again. As crazy as that is, or CJ Stroud. Just
bet the both and then just take the win.
Yep. That's the only play I'd make. Just because everything else is such a crapshoot. Like, it's crazy odds, but like, I mean, any running back could pop out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the Heisman play. I never really play the Heisman play, but if I had to play, I would just play the favorites, the 2 favorites of the 3.
What about Will Anderson? People have been on the Will Anderson train, but he's got to get 25 sacks?
I don't see that happening. I think if you were to pick somebody outside of Stroud and Bryce Young and you were wanting to be safe, probably. But you got to keep in mind how impressive of a season a defensive player has to have to win Heisman. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah. Speaking of the Manti Te'o document, right? I'm sure we all talk.
Should we talk about the Manti Te'o documentary?
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't watched it. No, it's bad.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week. You have to watch it this weekend.
Okay, I can manage to do that.
All right, let's do week 0 lines. All right, week 0 lines. Who wants to go first? These games are awful if you look at it. These games are awful.
Carter, you got to start us off on this one. You were very passionate about these week 0 lines.
All right, let's do it. Let's do the obvious one. We all know it. Any real person, any person who's ever watched college football, bet on college football knows you've had a bad day and you get to the end of the night and you're like, who can save me? Who's there? You know who's there for you? Hawaii. Hawaii's always there for you. Hawaii's always there for you. They're playing week 0 on the island. And then we mentioned it before we started. I don't know if it was Action or Barstool. One of these social media accounts keeps putting out a thing. Hawaii is like 11-0-1 in week 1 openers against the spread. Hawaii plus 8.5 on the island against Vanderbilt, who are frauds. Hawaii, easy. I mean, it's just a blind play. I couldn't tell you who's the starting quarterback for Hawaii, if we're being honest. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm seeing it plus 6.5 right now, but you're right. It could be different. I don't know. But yeah, like you said, with plus anything, I would take Hawaii as well. I'm with you.
If it's plus 6.5, make it 7 for me.
So you'd buy the half point on that one?
Yeah.
I've got 2, and I'll be the first one to say, hand up, have not done a lot of research on these games. But
I love when Dylan.
Hand up. I don't think any of us did research on these games. I don't think any person, like any average college football fan, did research on these games. They're just excited college football's back, and they're just gonna blindly press bet on a game. And books are going to cash this weekend.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I don't know about you guys, kind of getting on another topic, but when it comes to like the beginning of a season for anything, I have 0 clue how to approach betting any of it, because you don't know. Like, I'm looking at week 0 lines, Nebraska Northwestern, probably the biggest game of this coming weekend. Yeah. Don't know who's new, don't know who's left. I mean, I just don't know any of it. But if I have to blindly bet, I think, Carter, you might know what it would be. I'm an unders guy through and through.
Oh.
Under is always the sharp play. Nobody's ever taken the unders. So I'm going under 50.5 in Nebraska Northwestern. You have to for the first Big Ten game of the season. You have to.
But it's in Ireland. So I'm going over 50.
Oh, dude.
They just find the pot of gold.
Under. I'm with Dylan on this one, man.
I think you're going to see some ridiculous I think we might see more defensive touchdowns than offensive touchdowns.
Think about they have no precedent of like where they're staying. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be staying in some random, like, who knows where they're staying. Dude, no one's going to get a night's sleep. I'm kind of with Dylan on this one. This screams under to me.
You're probably does.
Out of
I
the
don't
country. Know. Could you imagine your clock, like your internal clock's probably all jacked up? I'm sure it's wild.
So just to show you the lack of preparation I've done, I completely forgot that this game is not in America. So that just helps my case even more. I think you're exactly right.
What I'm saying. I'm kind of with Dylan on this one. I hate unders too, but I would play the under on this one for sure.
I have one more for week 0, Wyoming, Illinois. Under 43.5. It's actually even money. Wyoming and Illinois both lost their quarterback. Brandon Peters has gone from Illinois, and I think Wyoming lost their quarterback as well. And Wyoming wasn't a bad team last year, but it was mostly due to their defense. So defense, good, low scoring. I don't know. I'm taking 2 unders. That's what I got for this weekend.
Oh,
Grant, do you have anything week 0?
Oh man, if I'm taking 200s the first week of week 0 college football, yikes!
Setting you up for success, Grant.
Yeah, I say don't try to save you money. It's just not the sexy fun bet. I'm with you, Carter. I'm playing the Hawaii one with you. I'm playing anything plus Hawaii, whatever. Just because. The one I can't stop staring at. It's like a bad movie or a car crash. You just can't stop staring at. Is the UConn at Utah State minus 27.5? Why can't I stop staring at that game?
Because UConn minus 27 is free money. Utah State minus 27.
I know. As crazy as that sounds, I honestly think I am gonna bet Utah State week 0 against UConn. It kills me, but I
might go to this game.
I think they're gonna roll UConn, and minus 27.5 is not that crazy for a Mountain West Conference game. Like, or I guess it's not Mountain West Conference game, but a Mountain West Conference team. Like, UConn is terrible. Everything about them is terrible. I can't stop looking at this line, and it's like begging me to take it. I don't know why.
I want to know what they don't have the first half outline now. I would imagine it's what, like 15, 14?
That might be the play. Take like the first half and just take the spread, and you just have to pray that like nothing weird goes on in the first like quarter. That's what you're praying, basically. And if you can get past that, you should be good.
I mean, it's the opener in Logan. School just started. I mean, Logan's a hard place to play.
It is. It's weird. It's a weird place. If anyone's been there, which you and me both have, it is a weird place. You're like in a pit.
Bad juju,
You're in
dude.
a terrible pit. Yeah, and it's just people mooing all over the place. Everyone's mooing left to right. It's just weird, bro. It's a weird place. So I kind of like that play. I would take Utah State in that minus 27.5.
The one I've been joking with Carolina fans in my life. Florida A&M money line might be the easiest play of the week. They play Carolina. Carolina starting Drake May, Luke May, his younger brother. Carolina can't beat Florida A&M. Florida A&M is top tier talent. Got some NFL guys on that roster, maybe. Carolina will not be winning that game. I can guarantee you that.
Was UNC one of the most hyped? It was last year, right? Were they one of the most hyped teams in college football last year?
That's the crazy thing. I kind of like UNC going into this year because they actually made some big changes in their coaching staff. They finally got a new. I think Gene Chiswick's their defensive coordinator, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, and bro, what's interesting to me is like they were crazy hyped last year and just crashed and burned from basically week one, and they lost to NC State last year, right? I'm almost positive they lost to NC State. So like,
yes,
that's a very interesting team. So we'll see on that one. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that Utah State one, it's got my eyes on it.
None of these others look appealing at all. When you're looking at like Charlotte, FAU, and you're just like, nah, I'll pass. Let me see here. There was another one. What?
Give me UTEP money line. That's another one that I just saw when I'm scrolling through FanDuel. Again, no research. UTEP money line is even money against North Texas. And,
yeah, pick them.
You know, anytime you can take the UTEP Miners at even money in a conference game, I'm taking them.
What about the New Mexico State Aggies?
Yeah, I was going to say, anytime I can bet against New Mexico State, I feel pretty good. So, like, first glance, I lean.
I don't know about this one.
Really?
I have some whack people in my life. I have quite a few whack people in my life that are saying, don't sleep on New Mexico State +9.
Jeez, bro.
I haven't committed to it because I couldn't tell you one New Mexico State player that has ever played for that program.
But I think that's a team I've never bet on is New Mexico State. That would be one off the list for sure.
Well, definitely bet against. They're like a team that like come out and like Bama's slow and they're like, oh, Bama doesn't score on the first drive, and you're like, I can get Bama first quarter money line somehow. Like they're gonna get the ball back.
You know, that's your like slut play right there. Is like getting Bama like only -14 against some blind school. That is like your slut play always. So yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. If I could ever get Bama money line anytime on a first quarter or second quarter, it's almost guaranteed money.
Yeah, no, week 0, man. It's such a crapshoot. I just, be responsible week 0, people out there. There is no reason to. If you have more than 3 bets this weekend, you need to chill because these are
pace
yourself.
Dude. Pace yourself. Unless you want to put the mortgage on the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, then that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. You can lay the house down responsibly.
Obviously, joking.
Rainbow Warriors, like no, that's a 5-star play in my book, dude.
We have that on record. Hawaii 5-star.
Hawaii 5-star. No, I'm not making a 5-star. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you their starting quarterback. Let's look this up live. Hawaii starting quarterback. We're just gonna hear. Do you guys know who it is off the top of your head?
I have no clue.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear because I want to hear like what you guys think of this guy's name and if you think he is starting quarterback caliber. Just hearing by the name. Let's see here.
I do think before we end this, we should take each of our favorite week 0 picks and make the Carter Cast parlay.
Oh, 100%.
Ooh, I love it.
Well, Hawaii +8.5. Let's just throw it in there.
That's a guarantee, bro.
That's a guarantee, capital G.
Then we got Utah State minus 27.5, which sounds ridiculous, but I do think that hits.
Have they not released their depth chart? They play like in 2 days.
Or do we put just the first half play on that?
I like the 27.
Okay. You don't think
I don't think UConn has the ability to make funky business happen in the fourth quarter. I don't know, but that Utah State defense is awful.
It's always awful. That's true.
Ooh, I'm not like, all right. Here we go. This guy's name is Braden Shager.
Not what I expected.
No.
Shager sounds like plus money to me.
He sounds like plus money. He doesn't sound like a favorite.
He sounds like plus money, bro. I like
sophomore. Oh man,
ooh, that's not great.
I don't know about he's a Texas kid though.
Did he start quarterback. Last year? Did he start last year? Does it say?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Any Hawaii Rainbow fans?
They had someone else last year. They have a third string guy. His name's Cameron Cooper. That guy sounds like he is good.
He sounds like he played. What?
Cameron Cooper. He says he played at Washington State.
I say he sounds like a kid that played at Utah.
Like he's from Lehigh.
100%. I'm telling you, that name is 100% Utah to me. It's scary when you follow like these schools in Utah, then you start to know like Utah names. I'm telling you, man, that name I was like, that is 100% a Utah name.
Yeah, no. And then they have some guy that played at Pittsburgh and Arizona State, Joey Yellen. I don't know who's starting for this Hawaii team. I don't think they've released their starting quarterback yet.
That's how you know it's free money. So
they're doing the Michigan thing. We're going to play all quarterback. They're doing what the Panthers are doing. We're going to have Darnold and Mayfield. We're going to split quarters with them.
You got to have that competition. Hawaii gets it.
Okay. All righty. Let me see here. So we're putting in this parlay, right?
Yeah, so right now I have, let me know if this is what we want. We have Hawaii plus 8.5.
Love it.
Utah State minus 27.5.
Yep.
And I'm thinking either Wyoming, Illinois under 43.5, or what's the Ireland one? What was that? Northwestern Nebraska?
Dylan, let's go with that one.
I think we should go with the Ireland one, even though I was leaning towards the over, but I mean, it's the London game, technically, for college football.
It's going to be like rainy. It's going to be like, they're just going to sit on the football.
It's going to be cloudy, 100%.
It will be very windy, too. It's usually very windy over there.
Oh, yeah, a lot of running. Yeah.
Is it windy in Dublin?
Yeah. So the only reason I know is because, like, the British Open, it's always the worst weather conditions, and they always, like, the score's always so high. So.
There we go.
That's good.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, it's cloudy, 20% chance of rain, 10-mile-per-hour wind, so not crazy.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, but it's supposed to rain Friday and Sunday too. So,
nice.
Well, yeah, it's gonna look gross on TV. Yeah, let's go under 50. So under 50, Utah State minus 27, and then the GOAT pick of the week. Hawaii plus 8.5. Perfect. We just go make that the money line just to make the odds a little better.
Nah, we can't get greedy. You can't get greedy on a parlay.
All right, is that it for us?
That's all I got.
All right, awesome. Dylan, thanks again for coming on, man. Download the Action Network app. Plug it real quick.
Action Sports app, download it. Great for tracking your bets. If you bet, it has a really cool feature called Bet Sync. If you're in a state where it's live, you can sync your book to the app. You bet on your book, automatically syncs to the app so you can track it live. Very cool.
Yeah, if you don't have the Action Network app, I mean, you're literally gambling completely wrong. I mean, literally,
you're
sign up. Yeah, you got to sign up for the pro subscription. Do the whole thing. I promise you, it's worth it. You will lose money if you don't have it. Grant, anything else?
No, just good to be back, boys. Like, honestly, like, it's been too long. It's super nice to be here with you, Carter, obviously, and Dylan. Like, it's a fun time, man. Like, this is the best time of the year. It's super exciting to see college football back, and let's make a lot or lose a lot of money. I'm excited.
Grant, we'll be ready next Wednesday, if you know what I mean.
Let's get it. I'm down.
All right. Peace out, guys.